morning, everybody.
Hey,
Happy F3 Friday. I'm Faith Suggs, Duke of Jasper graduate, and this is my dad, Shafer Suggs, former NFL player. We are so happy everyone's here. Happy Friday, Dad.
hey, Faith, what's going on?
Nothing new. Nothing new. Beautiful day outside. How are you? How are you?
Right, you're on calls all day yesterday, I see, huh? That long day.
Yeah, I had a great opportunity yesterday to be on a call for a coaches clinic forum talking through diversity. A lot of coaches around the country are trying to figure out how to navigate the times we're in right now, how to talk to their athletes,
Oh, wow.
how to talk to parents, and also how to maybe help educate their kids a little bit.
Awesome.
Kind of cool. A lot of white coaches coaching a lot of kids who are Black, so they had a lot of questions. So it was a great panel. Had John Smith from Cal Poly University, Renee Haynes from mine, Long Island University. Coach Hernando, who recruited me at Duke. He led the way, being the moderator with his microphone and the ways. So it was really neat. For those coaches who follow us, I will put it up. But it was a really neat opportunity. A lot of great panelists, coaches from all over HBCUs, coaches from JUCOs.
Wow.
It was neat.
How long was it? A couple hours?
About an hour and a half.
Wow.
Two great speakers, and then just a panel question roundtable.
Awesome.
Neat opportunity. Definitely something people want answers. People want to figure this all out.
Awesome. What a great experience. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah. So how are you? We're on our 20th episode.
On our 20th episode, I'm really, through these times, I mean, this is a really good outlet to be able to offer some acknowledgement, understanding, some healing. What a great platform. And our guests will be able to offer some insight on that also. So I'm excited about this show. Hey, did you get the design for our Suggs mugs?
I did. So let's discuss that. Cool things under wraps. Suggs mugs, for those of us who are loyal. City design.
So that's our slogan then, Faith? Let go, let God. Go ahead, sorry.
Our new slogan is let go, let God, let go, let faith, let go, let love. Something we have instilled in our household growing up. That is a great, great slogan to live by, especially now. But no, it's exciting. What is the process in that right now?
Right. Do you have the other side of the mug?
I don't. But on the other side of the bug, there's hashtag Suggs mugs. For our loyal fans who know, Suggs mugs is something brought to us by some of our great fans.
Right.
Especially this one right here.
You love the design. Right. Good. Yeah, the order is placed today, and we should give them in about a week or two.
Right. So we'll keep people updated on that. We will go over the website real quick. As you can see, this is our website, faithfamilyfocus.net. It has every single show so far, our bios, a couple wonderful blogs I've done, as well as where you can purchase the mugs when we get to it. It's exciting. Please join it. Take the time to read the blogs and watch a couple shows.
Nice.
So it's a great morning. A happy Friday. Everybody's excited. Everybody's ready to learn. Today's going to be special. It's only right that we go through some of the stuff today that we are, since our country is facing a lot of things right now. So, Dad, why don't you kind of jump into who our guests are, and before we bring them in, I'll dive down on what they're going to bring to the table for us today.
Well, our guest is former New York Jets. You didn't hear that. But Emory Moorhead, 85 Super Bowl Bears. Emory has been a friend, and of course we played against each other. I actually met him the first time when he was playing for the New York Giants. But more importantly, he has been a lifelong friend. When I transitioned here from New York, him and I really connected, and we both have shared and served as president of the former NFL Players Association in Chicago, and we both now act as consultants. I'm actually still vice president, but just a wonderful, wonderful friend and a brother, and somebody that was also there when I became a single dad. And we have a lot in common. And then Our next guest is Bruce Heron. Bruce is still probably in the locker room getting his ankles taped. So when Bruce gets here, you know how linebackers are, Emory. You know, sometimes it takes a while for them to get on the field in time, but hopefully Bruce will be able to join us. So, you want to bring them on? Do you want to give an idea of what we're going to be talking about?
All right. So today is special. We're going to kind of give a couple of examples by using two great athletes who use their celebrity status to tackle some problems off the field and on the field. Athletes have a great role in creating positive change in their communities, leveraging their celebrity status to raise funds, etc. As a college athlete, we know how important it is to give back to the communities. Especially now, you see a lot of athletes are way more vocal than we've ever seen them. And it's very special to watch because we're definitely watching history unveil itself. They're very accustomed to the spotlight and the judgment. So that's why some of these athletes are a little more spoken and a little more comfortable in what they're saying, because they know that the time is now, but also because their voices are so important. They serve as our role models. They serve as people we look as leaderships in our communities. So without further ado, we'll bring on our first guest. And when we find Bruce, we'll get it. Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, Emory.
Good morning. Good morning, Faith and Shafer. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's a special day. Happy Friday. How are you doing? Where are you residing? What is the...
Well, it seems like... Yeah, I was saying, it seems like Friday is every day now.
I know. I hope it stays that way. So we're going to have a great discussion. Dad, do you want to kick it off a little bit, or I can dive into it? But one thing that we see in the news now is it's almost like our athletes are hand in hand with our CNN and our Fox News anchors. We have people being brought on these shows for interviews who we've never seen in these platforms before. Dad, do you want to kick it off? Do you feel that professional athletes can be helpful in this perspective, especially right now in the current country's challenges?
Well, I think so. And I think that one of the reasons that I brought Emory on and also Bruce was, you know, they both, we both are about the same age. We both played in the 60s, in the 70s, at a time where our climate was very, very similar. And we both experienced it. I know that they played for Chicago Bears, but I call them Titans because, like the movie Remember the Titans, you know, that was the kind of world that we lived in, where sports kind of brought our community together.
Right.
And so we have some pretty good insight. And then, I mean, it's almost one of the most powerful phrases that Denzel mentioned in that movie when he said, if we don't come together on this hallowed ground, we will perish. And it's ironic how a team, an athletic team, back in the 60s and the 70s, was the catalyst for keeping our country together. And that's why I felt compelled to bring on Bruce and Emory, because not only are they wonderful men, but they can also share some insight on where we were, and now we're back there again. So, you know, as far as, you know, I think your question, we are compelled to be spokesmen. We are, and I think it's a really good idea. And again, that's one of the reasons I brought in Bruce and Emory.
Right. And before I move on to this next question, I'm going to our second guest, Mr. Bruce Heron. Good morning. Good morning. We can see you. You are live.
Hello, Faith. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
It's fine. It's been a long time since Uncle Bruce has seen you, girl.
We're glad that you joined us.
Hey, Emory, do you have something to say to your former teammate?
Everything you're saying.
Morehead, let me tell you something. Be careful, okay?
Hey, Bruce. So I'm curious. I didn't know that
breaking up on me.
I didn't know that you were. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you now, Emory.
Yeah, we can hear you. You just kind of freeze up a little bit. I love your middle name, Bruce Wayne. Well, I know you're Batman.
Oh my goodness, Lord have mercy.
I think it's a wonderful name.
Why, thank you, Faith. Oh, you're so sweet.
There he is.
You know, a whole lot less like your dad. I like that.
I get that a lot. But
Yes.
let's jump back in. Now that we have our second special guest, Emery, can you touch on a little bit? My dad touched on how you guys were kind of the Titans. You witnessed a lot of things while you guys were playing. What sort of challenges or outside life cultural events were going on while you guys were participating in the NFL?
Is that for Emery?
Yes,
Yeah.
Emery.
But he might be still frozen.
Why don't you grab that topic, Bruce?
Bruce, you can take that topic.
The question was what was some of the things that we had issues with while we were playing football?
Right.
Are we talking race relations? Are we talking
anything? I think that it's important. Human rights.
Well, you know what? I think when we were playing football, especially professional football, there were all sorts of issues that we really didn't speak a whole lot about. We certainly didn't speak about it publicly. I think to ourselves as teammates, black teammates, we spoke about it.
Right.
You know, such as there were guys on the team that actually shouldn't have been on the team.
Yeah.
Because of the color of their skin. And you know, I'm definitely not going to call names because that would be unfair.
Right.
Man. But I mean, we lived through that, and we dealt with it. I know I grew up in a little town in South Texas called Victoria, and I went to a small school. There were 55 or 56 in my graduating class in high school, and there were probably, out of the 56 kids, there were probably 7 black. The other remaining students were either Hispanic or white, and we're talking Texas. Texas still is Texas today. You know, it's still got its traits, but you know, one thing about it, I know for sure is that that everything's changing. Even Texas, man, it's changing. It's a slow process, but I can tell when I go home, I can feel it. I can see it. It's changing. But you know, we were strong, man. We had to be strong. Oh God.
Right.
You remember Shafer? I mean, shucks, our parents taught us, our mothers taught us at a very, very early age, you know, you don't let anything stop you. You put your mind to it, you keep going, you just keep going, you keep going. Right, and there were many times, hell, I wanted to quit. Shoot, but you know, I was in college, man. There were many times I put a phone call to my mother, and she said, "So what are you going to do? Come back here and do what?" Right. And man, all I need to do is hear her say a couple of sentences, boy, and I'm back on track, you know. So I was blessed.
Yeah, and Dan, you can relate to that a little bit. I know you have a fun story about how you pulled out your contract and looked at it. I'm going to that a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't dare look at a contract, my own contract.
Hey Bruce, what very many numbers on those contracts, right? Hey, Emery, take your microphone off, and we'll be able to hear you. There you go. Yeah, but you know, just to kind of shed some light what Faith was asking you is, it was a very different world, and I think that's why I felt compelled to bring you and Emery on, because we can offer, you know, going through it and overcoming it. Okay, and then being able to transition into the real world, professional world, and being able to bridge relationships and offer. I think the most important thing I think Faith wanted out of the show was, you know, acknowledgement, understanding, hope, and then some healing. And you know, when we played, I mean, there's just things that we just had to swallow, and because we had to survive. There's certain things we couldn't say. We just had to swallow, and we kept on going because that kept us on the team. And so I thought, you know, insight that you and Emery can bring, because we grew up and there was a lot of stuff going on. We really think about it, and we're all about the same age. What was going on in 68, 69, 70, we were in middle school, high school. I mean, we watched it all, and we got through it. And I thought that this would be a really good show to offer some healing grace.
Right. Well, Dad, a quick question, and you can kick it off. Obviously, and this is what people are talking. Will Smith had a great quote that said, "Racism has always been here. It's just now it's being filmed. People see it. Obviously, things that were happened to George Floyd and the things we have seen happen during your time growing up easily, right? How were things like this handled by the NFL or by you guys in comparison to how it's being handled now?
Well, it's very different, and Bruce will probably attest to this. We didn't have social media to communicate our voice. I mean, it was a very different world. We're actually muted because of the time that we lived in. I mean, your only voice was the newspaper, and if you spoke out in the newspaper, you disappeared real quick. So it was very, very hard to voice them. We grew up at a time where there was Muhammad Ali, and we grew up at a time where he was ahead of his time, right? And but he was at a level where he was almost invincible. I mean, he couldn't really be touched. But the normal football player like myself and Bruce, we just had to figure out a way to transcend and overcome these adversities and obstacles, because now we're still here, and now we can still give back some acknowledgement, some understanding. Because I mean, when we look at some of the athletes today, I'm so proud of some of the athletes today. I'm so proud of them taking and having the courage to offer their support, and it's just a wonderful thing. That's why I think those voices should be heard.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's special because I love that I've been able to witness and be around a lot of great men like you two who kind of give us the voice of what the past was, and give us the voice of the kind of a window into what has happened before. And I think that, Bruce, can you touch on a little bit about the locker room? Not go diving into details, of course, but what were some of the conflicts or some of the things that you guys had to, just turn the head to and keep on pushing and just focus on the game? I mean, what kind of things you guys had to face? How often did that happen?
Well,
microaggressions.
Microaggressions, yeah.
What kind of aggression?
Not go diving into details, of course, but what were some?
I first want to touch on something that Shafer was just talking about the lack of technology back in the day and the technology today, where everybody has a camera on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a phone, and so it's much easier to capture the wrong that's been done to Black and brown people. Back then, the only time you saw a thing was maybe on TV.
Right.
There's a big between seeing a wrong and hearing a wrong. When you put your eyeballs on something that is is wrong, what background you come from, is wrong. When that officer put knee on the neck of Floyd, everybody who had eyeballs understand how wrong that was. And so back in the day when we were coming up, that is by far the major difference, because we heard about all of the wrongs for Black people going through. And like I was telling someone yesterday, hell, I grew up in a little small town, and so I, I didn't experience stuff that 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 maybe even Emory experienced. And Emory grew up in Evanston, so he didn't experience the stuff that people who grew up right here in the inner city of Chicago experienced, because you know what, we were out of that environment. But you know, I just think that it is so touching. And I tell you what, I have been, even last night, I've been OD'd on CNN, MSNBC, and in the network watching this stuff. You know, at the same time, you know, I watch it because I'm watching it gives me encouragement that maybe this time things are really going to change, because this time everybody was able to not to just hear about it, but they were able to see it. But when they see the country wrong, then you know people from every life are part of the solution, or want to be a part of the solution. I know it's a little community where I live in Evergreen Park. They scheduled a protest right in the park. They call it the Circle because it's right in the center of the community, and they had an organized protest, and you know, they had police officers. They had one of the ministers, one of the priests from one of the Catholic churches here get up and speak. You know, and but what was so touching about it is that in this community, I had no idea that people felt the way that they feel. You know, and there were young folks, there were middle-aged folks, there were elderly folks out there, and we're just marched around the park and up to 95th Street near Kedzie and come back, you know, and everything was, you know, everybody's chanting, everybody had signs, they had the black "I can't breathe" black t-shirts on, and you know, doing the you know, the black power thing. And I'm telling you, Chuck, there were more folks in that crowd than there were all of the minorities put together.
That's awesome.
That was real touching. Real touching. We got Emory back.
Yeah.
I see that. Emory, the question or the topic was, what is the difference that you've seen when you guys were playing, when you guys were growing up, and how athletes are using their platforms to now? I mean, what is some things during the time that you can remember, some changes that you've noticed?
Well, I will say that, you know, growing up in NFL in the 70s and in college in the 70s was a lot different than it is today. You're talking 40 years ago. And while some things change, some things never do. And when we came up, there was more prevalent, I think, you know, the Vietnam War was in the early 70s. There were a lot of protests then about the war. And I think it's been said before, a lot of black people were in the Vietnam War, and a lot of black people were in, you know, World War II, Korean War, and everything. And I think that's why a lot of people said Drew Brees' comments on that. But today, you know, it's actually good to see a new generation take charge and say, you're going to go, this is enough exploitation of black people. Every time we turn around, there's another black person being killed by the police. And that people are standing up for it. And you're seeing it all across America. There are people that are protesting, you know, doing the right thing, black, white, brown, Asian, everybody.
Right.
Because it's been, you know, since the 1600s that people have been exploited. And it's the same today. No one has gone through the trials and tribulations, the abuse that black people in this country that's going to have people like for all. And I'm excited to see young people saying, you know, enough is enough in this situation.
Right. Well, Dad, I have a question for you, and it's kind of about what Sports Center is going through right now. Well, Drew Brees released a video, an interview, where he spoke on his opinion on Kaepernick and other NFL players kneeling during the national anthem in a form of solidarity and protest to police brutality and systematic racism that goes on. Unfortunately, Drew Brees kind of dropped the ball a tiny bit because he said that they were protesting the flag and protesting the soldiers who fought for the war. He completely disregarded Black ancestors of a lot of people who have fought alongside white soldiers for our country. And social media in our world kind of blew up a little bit. LeBron James commented back at him saying that you missed the whole point. The protest was for police brutality and systematic racism to kind of shine light on the issues that is going on underneath our noses. And a lot of people are very upset with Drew Brees' conversation and teammates, family members. So, Dad, what is your opinion on it? Is it kind of inspiring, though, that you see a lot of athletes speak up? Is it different than when you guys are playing? Can you give us a little light on that?
Right. I think something good comes out of everything, and I think with Drew Brees, his realization, his acceptance of his misstep, even though it's something he felt really compelled about, as a result of the backlash, his apology I felt was genuine. And I think that's a good step toward direction, because he clearly listened to the message as well as many have, and hopefully it opens the door. It opens the door. I'm curious to find out. I'll ask Emory. Emory, what do you think? What do you think? How this is going to impact the NFL when the season starts? With the national anthem.
Go ahead, you're frozen again.
Yeah.
How about you, Bruce?
Yeah, you know what? Good question. I think the NFL ownership and NFL management, individual team management, are going to have real serious talks with their teams, and they're going to listen. They're going to need to listen to the hurt that the guys express. There is no way in the world that after something like this that's happened, use the old Trump adage that disrespecting the flag when you kneel. Nobody's disrespecting the damn flag. You know, the heck with your rotten flag. I mean, the flag doesn't mean anything. We're talking about people's lives, you know. And they always change the narrative. They change the conversation. The minute you bring something up, they make it something else to verify what they're wanting to do and willing to do and what their actions are. But I just think that that each individual team, they're going to have a serious conversation and conversation with the players, because the players are going to have, I mean, not just black players, white players as well. They're going to have their day in the sun, and they're going to react to this the way they want to react to this, in order for them to be able to heal and to move on, because it's all about healing, man. At this point, it's all about healing.
Right.
And you know, and what's so crazy about it is that while you're sitting there watching this stuff, watching the protests and the things about George Floyd, there's other stuff going on in other cities. Cops are doing the same damn crap even while this is going on. How stupid are these guys? It just kills me, man. It just kills me. Is the hate so deep that you just can't help yourself? And you care? I don't get it, man. I don't know. New York, I mean, you know, 75-year-old white dude. I mean, cops just pushed him down and fell and hit his head. I just, you know, they just stupid. They've had too much power for too long, and it's going to take some time to take that power away from them and give it to the people. So I know, man. I've been watching TV shows.
Well, I think another thing that you said is you can take a positive or a negative. I do not think Drew Brees is going to be able to come back from this, unfortunately. It's too sensitive a time period. His voice carries way too much weight, and he's in a community where they need a leader who doesn't say those things. I think that maybe his apology was genuine. I don't think he'll be a leader in the Black community anytime soon, unfortunately, but I think that the best start is for him to kind of educate himself, create a space, and I think that's my biggest thing with the NFL. There needs to be space where everybody's being educated on the right things to say, how certain things is a form of racism, what the true meaning is behind protests. Because at the end of the day, when people fight for the country, fight for freedom, they fight for the right of freedom of speech and the ability to be able to protest the flag, protest their rights, right? And I think that a lot of people, you guys always say, is change the narrative because they're uncomfortable. And that's the problem right now. But I think people need to accept the fact that being uncomfortable is a sign of growth, and our country needs to be uncomfortable for some time period now. But my thing with it is how can we heal? Dad, what's the first step, do you think?
Well, I think the first step is like any virus, any disease, is acceptance. It's acceptance and acknowledgement that there is a problem, there is an issue, there are people suffering. I mean, that's the first. It's a very uncomfortable topic, and it's something that I experienced younger, and that's the first step. And I'm just hopeful that Drew Brees can see that might be the first step for him, Faith. That might be the first step because he's a quarterback in the NFL, white quarterback in the NFL, and his words are very powerful words. And for him to apologize, whether it was genuine or it was something he needed to do to save face, he still did it. He did. So I think that's the first step, because if he sincerely understands what the message was, okay, because that in culmination of what we have the ability to right now, that's the first step of just being able to acknowledge that there's a problem. So I'm hoping that he's going to come back. Actually, he's going to have to. And like Bruce said, there's going to have to be some very, very serious conversations with the National Football League, right?
Right.
And, sports kind of leads the way to our human race. I mean, everything, I told you, man, I was playing in the NFL. We were probably 20 years ahead of everything else in society because we had to play together, we had to work together, we had a common ground. That's why I said that movie, Remember the Titans, is one of the most powerful movies. That movie was during the time I was in high school. And as a result of that, we were taking strides. And I got to tell you all the time, I love you, and I love your energy. I love the same energy a lot of the youth kids are having out there. They're educating themselves. Because what you do today is going to impact what's going to happen in 10 years.
Right.
So I was just, stay on course and continue, being relentless and continue pushing forward, but the really thing that we have to do is we have to make sure that we figure out a way to offer some kind of healing grace, because that's where it's going to start. That's where it's going to start.
And then one more thing, while I was listening to you talk, I was scrolling because the first thing we do every morning is we go, as the younger generation, we open up Twitter, we open up Instagram, because that's how we get our news, right? And I opened up Twitter, and what I saw was the narrative. Do you remember when LeBron James spoke out, him, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, they spoke out, and a news anchor told them to just shut up and dribble, right?
Right.
Their opinion does not matter, to just do their job and stay in their lane and leave the politics to the people, right? And then you see Drew Brees speak out, and the same news anchor, she said, well, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. We should hear him out. He's, at least commend him for using his platform. And it's hard not to look at the side by side quotes and see how the media portrays. There's always a different narrative.
Right.
In football and basketball, of course, NBA, NFL, two differences. Black, white, two different differences. It's interesting to see the narrative, and
Right.
that was being broadcasted, and it's crazy. Okay, Bruce is back, but you stressed him out. But that's the narrative. I mean,
Yeah.
Hey, well, thanks. You know what? That's very good, and I think it gets back to media. We didn't have that platform. Now we have media, right? Now you can clearly see the difference, right? So in order to heal, you first need to acknowledge that there's a difference. There's a wrong being done, right?
Mhm.
And this is something that hopefully will clear the eyes of our Americans, to be able to clearly see that there's been a difference, and there's been a difference for a long time, right? So, I mean, there's, like I said, there's always something good that comes out of everything, and this is our opportunity to begin to heal. We just got to keep being hopeful. I mean, as you well know, that we have visibility to policemen. But again, I'm going to tell you, that represents about 4 or 5% of them, right? It represents about 4 or 5% of them. And what this is a little open dialogue to what can we do? What can they do? Because as teammates on the football team, I mean, we watch game film, okay? And there's something that we're doing on that field that's not right. What I love about our football team is players will make other players accountable. If they're misstepping, they're not doing the right thing, we get in their face. And that's what's going to have to happen with this going forward. And because there's a lot of good ones out there, you got to be able to step up. We need to be able to have the courage. I always say, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. Have the courage to change the things that you can change.
Bruce, yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I want to say something about Drew Brees and Drew Brees. This is not the first time that Drew has come out, been outspoken about something that affects the black race. When Kaepernick took a knee, he was very outspoken about that. And here he is at a time like this. You know what? I'm saying that to say this is that I've always enjoyed Drew Brees' play. I've noticed a pattern about him. He's a very popular guy. He carries a weight because of the fact that he is popular. But I'm gonna tell you something. Drew Brees is gonna have some issues. There's going to be a problem on that team unless something mighty strong is going to happen for the Saints once they get back into football this next season. Something powerful is going to happen. Management and Drew Brees, because the guys are not going to tolerate that crap. White guys are not eating. They are. Right, exactly. Drew Brees. I feel there's like a car crash coming when that team is back together. He can get up and apologize all he wants, but at the end of the day, man, he's going to speak much louder than his words, and he's got a price. He's got a price for it. This is a pattern that I'm disappointed through Brees that it's hard to find the right words to say to be competitive. So I'm sorry, Faith, but go ahead. You were going to ask me a question.
That was good, Bruce.
While you were talking, I just couldn't help but think that I was having a discussion yesterday about the white leaders in these areas. Let's talk NBA. Let's talk Steve Kerr, who was a great advocate for a lot of causes, great spokesman, puts his foot down in a lot of situations, right? And the NBA does a great job with handling the racial situations that goes on in the country. NFL not so much. NFL's a little like 10 steps behind, but they're hopefully we're getting there.
A little dated, yeah.
Yep. If Steve Kerr, who has spoken out, has put his time in and has been really, really advocating for the Black community, the movement, and trying to create equality and better opportunity for the Black race, was to say something along those terms, not more of the exact like disagreeing with Kaepernick, but more on something that is, I don't see color, I love all people. Something that's so minor, but for Black people who listen to it are like, like right now, like that's not it. I think that I would be more understanding and try to give Steve Kerr a second chance or hear his apology out in comparison to someone such as Drew Brees, who has had a history of questionable side eyes in where he aligns his political standing, where he sends his money. I think there's a lot of things that go behind this, and I think that while we appreciate Drew Brees' apology, I think that the more we dive into it, we see that Drew Brees probably will not come back from this.
No.
Black athletes, Black football players especially, are fed up. I think that we're crescendoing. We're getting to the point where I think that we're moving the needle and a lot of positivity is happening and change is happening. And I think that they have a lot of courage now to use their platform. So I think that people have some issues and a lot of questions to answer when they get into training camp or even start the season. But Dad, what's the second? I mean, we talk about healing, obviously. We talk about acknowledging the fact, the problems, the culture. I think that's such an important thing, is acknowledging what's going on around you, opening your eyes and kind of having some form of clarity. That's a special thing to do right now. What's the second point, would you say, is after acknowledgement?
Well, we got understanding, right? Acceptance, education.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the education is something that is kind of hard to pinpoint. I think education comes with just being open. I mean, we can look in books, history books, but as you well know, you're a Black history major, and I was a history major, and we were able to get educated, right? But you don't really necessarily have to do that. I think the most important thing is really just be open. Just be open and don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. You know, you don't change unless you're uncomfortable, right? I think Bruce and I, because we played on sports teams, we have become comfortable with people of different colors. We had to be transgender. We're on a team together, okay? But you know, we still have our culture. We still are very segregated in a lot of ways, and so in order to have that education, you need to feel comfortable. Feel comfortable being uncomfortable. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Bruce, what do you think on the education point? How can people those who are asking questions, what can we do to help? How can they kind of help their families grow in this process? What would your advice be to them?
I think like what you did yesterday, having that open forum. I mean, I see a lot of young kids, white kids, Black kids, are coming together and having open dialogue around this topic. Right? There's not one side. That's what we have to do. We have to come together and have open dialogue around these topics. Because if we don't do that, we're going to struggle taking that step up.
Right. Bruce, what do you think?
Well, you know what? I think that people being able to see vividly the wrong, the wrong that was committed to George Floyd. I mean, it's just right. I mean, aspect of everything those cops did from start to finish was wrong, and everybody saw that, and it's a wake up call. It's a wake up call. I mean, to be able to see something like that, handcuff the guy's hands behind his back, throw him on the pavement, put your knee on his neck, and sit on it until he's bleeding from his mouth and nose, and just sit on it until there's nothing left in it. And now you call that ambulance and they pick him up like a slab of, don't even check his pulse, throw him on a gurney and put him in the ambulance and take off. How disrespectful is that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think people see that, and it's a wake-up call, especially young folks, man. You know, their moms and dads and their granddads and all of that foolishness that, you know, all they're like don't really count up. You know, and now they're seeing a whole different other side, and they're saying, you know what? Nah. Sorry, Dad. Sorry, Granddad. We don't buy that. You know,
Right.
And that's what it's taking, man. I mean, you look all throughout the country and over in other countries as well. Look at the people. I mean, the majority of those folks in all of those marches are not black people. You know, we make up what, 12, 14% of the population here in the United States?
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably maybe 10, 15%, 20 of the faces in these protests go around the country, and you know, they're even marching in London. Can you believe it? In Germany, New Zealand, all over. It's just, you know what, it's really touching. So what my hope and pray is that the country, the powers to be, succumb to this pressure. Folks, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
What we're going to have to put pressure on them. We're going to have to, people going to polls and vote. They're going to have to vote and get the old guard that keeps that nasty machine running. You know, they got to get ready to go. They got to go. The police precincts, the police departments, every city. I mean, the mayor is going to have to appoint commanders that will weed out the bad cops. Weed it out, and they've got to be dealt with. And they've got to be exterminated. They have got to be told, you are not wanted or needed here, because oh crap, that can't. You know what? Just anymore. Mm-hmm. These guys in the George Floyd case, I just hope and pray that they deal with them with a really stern hand and give them what they deserve. So it's going to send a signal, but it's already working, because I mean, the slightest little thing these guys are doing, you know, I shouldn't say slight, because none of this stuff is slight. Right. That they've been getting away with for years and years and years. I mean, these cities and mayors are already starting to react and combat this stuff. So, but I tell you, Drew Brees, he got a damn weekend coming, boy. I tell you, you know, I'm sure after Drew Brees put that out there yesterday, his agent probably said, "You got to go back on. You got to apologize. You got to do this, because it's going to hurt his money." But you know, it's too late, because pull the covers. The covers have been pulled back.
Yeah.
Time, man. He's gonna have a hard time with his team. So as well he should. That's what it takes, Drew. That's what it takes.
Yeah. Twitter was saying Jameis Winston is coming.
Yes.
Interceptions and all, right, babe?
What'd you say?
I said interceptions and all.
Yeah, he's coming.
He's coming.
Right.
Oh, but yeah.
You know what? They'll work. A coaching staff like New Orleans. He's going to be a much better quarterback by the time he gets back on the field there in New Orleans. Much better, because they identified his problems and they're working on him. They're going to correct him. They're our guy. He's very talented, but he's got a lot of faith in James. James is going to be okay.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. I think that a lot of things are being used as examples right now. That's what positives out, some negatives, but a couple of things. I was on a great call today, Bruce, we were talking about earlier. to help coaches handle diversity within their own teams. A lot of people want to know what to do. People in Minnesota, white coaches in Miami. I mean, like, everyone wants answers. How do I speak with my team? How do I help these Black kids who don't want to speak to me? How do I help them? I don't know what I'm doing. And we talked about educating themselves. The first thing is, all these kids are at home. They have Netflix. There's a lot of great documentaries on. For you watching, there's 13th. The movie Mercy is out. 12 Years a Slave, Thurgood Marshall. A lot of great movies. Remember the Titans, as Dad said, but 13th especially. A great documentary, diving from a lot of things, from the Emmett Till trials to, well, the Emmett Till murder. There wasn't trials. Emmett Till murder to where we are today, and the systematic racism and why the things are happening the way they are. It's a lot of great education, but a lot of people just don't know the history behind why things are just to where they are now.
Right.
We touched on a lot of great terms last night about redlining in general, what it is, how it came about, why it's still affecting us today. But I think the one thing is, take the time out of your day to educate yourself a little bit. Take 10 minutes to read up on something. Read a book by a Black author. Participate in learning about the Black culture more, understanding why things are the way they are. That's the first step. And then sharing it with your family, sharing it with your friends. Have the open dialogue that you spoke about, Dad. Be uncomfortable, because I'd rather you be uncomfortable and growing than closed off and comfortable and not helping the move.
Right. Very good point.
But Dad, do you have any books, anything that you have spoke about, either of you, that are great for our viewers watching?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question.
Any movies or books, anything to help educate those who are watching who want to learn a little more?
Those are powerful books, and then obviously I relate to a lot of the sports movies. I mean, with Glory Road, remember Glory Road, or remember the Titans, the movie with who was the running back, who was from Syracuse, that died of leukemia.
It's correct.
Phenomenal movie, Jackie Robinson movie. I mean, because they really represent the scope of the struggle and the suffering and the perceptions. And I like your word, microaggressions, that we just have to intuitively have to deal with and we learn. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of movies that are out there, but those would be obviously some of my favorite ones.
Right. Right.
Mississippi Burning is a great movie. I mean, there's a lot of them out there that they're uncomfortable to watch, but you're gonna leave there being educated, and it gives you a level of understanding and acknowledgement, which is the first two steps, I think.
Right. No, you're right.
Shafer, did you mention the Remember the Titans?
Yes.
Did you mention that?
That's how we started the show. We started the show off with that, but you were still in the locker room getting taped.
Faith, I'm telling you, Faith, don't grow up and be like. Matter of fact, next time you see your daddy, he's gonna have a big knot right in his forehead.
Oh man, you don't even have to tell me.
Yeah,
But,
see, he had to go there.
No, he always there's always a slight light comment at the end of any form of wisdom that just erases all that is said. It's how my childhood was. Misinterpretation and slight comments. But no, as we wrap up, I think I'm so glad that we ended with the education thing. You know, we talked about weeks ago about how important the dinner table is to a family and sitting down and having conversations. Bring about something that you saw at work or something that you experienced. Because me, as someone who grew up in a biracial home, I was able to see all forms of discrimination or conversation that happened that they brought home to us that we were able to hear and learn from. That's one of the biggest blessings of having communication with your family, communication with your parents. But Bruce, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. You provided so much insight. I hope everyone really enjoyed it. You did, for sure. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Faith.
Of course.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, my brother.
Faith, it's so good seeing you, honey. Your Uncle Bruce loves you to the moon and back.
I appreciate you.
Keep doing. Yep. I keep hearing good things about you from your dad.
Oh, I hope you always say good things.
So good.
Well,
you keep working hard, okay?
Yep, I will. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this wonderful Friday morning. Again, we're praying for all of you out there fighting for the great cause. We use your voice. Your voice is one of the best gifts we have. Those of you out there, have your ears open, eyes open, mind open to all things that's going on. This is a great time for our country to grow. We will be back on Monday with another great show. Thank you to our streamlines, Amazon Fire, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Apple TV, and most importantly, out of Phoenix, Arizona, E360 TV. Again, this is Faith Family Focus, where we want to use our faith as a vehicle to help, heal, and sustain others on their path, strengthening their core. And with our new slogan, let go, let God, let go, let faith, and let go, let love. Everyone have a great, great, great weekend.
Bye-bye, sweetie. Mwah.